Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Srini here, and today we're going to cover the part 3 of our Java conceptual interview question series. So stay tuned for the same. And if you're new to this channel, please do subscribe. Consider subscribing to it and hit the bell icon to get notifications. So you'll be getting a lot of useful videos on automation, programming languages, tips, and tricks to clear the interviews. So let's look at today's topic. Today we're going to look at the part 3 of our conceptual interview question series. So let's move on to the document. So in the last session, we had looked at the encapsulation. And now in this particular session, we are going to look at method overloading and method overriding. So what we will do is we will be creating a space here for the same. So we had our second question on method overloading and method overriding. So it's very straightforward, simple concept, but it will need an example for you all to understand it better. So let's say there is a class called student and there is a class called exceptional students. Just taking an example here. And for the time being, let's consider class student here. So we are having a keyword called class, and we are having a keyword here for class for exception students. Now in this one, I'm having a variable called name. And then let's say we have something called roll number. Student, there will be a roll number. Let's consider this integer. That is a number. And let's have one method called public void get info. In order for that, we will get the information returned back. So I can say system.out.println. Then go. Then we will have one method here called public. Okay. We will have something called set details. Okay. Now here, instead of just setting up the name, let's say I'm setting up the roll number. Just say for the time being. And I have another method here called set details again. But instead of just with all the parameters, I'm just setting the name. Have a close attention here. What I'm doing, I'm trying to have different method signature. I'm having different method signature here, and it is all dependent upon the number of arguments and also which argument which we are sharing. Okay. So here, let's say we have int roll number and string. So like that. So we have got three methods which are having the same name called set details, but they are having different method signature. How it is different? Because here it is having an argument of integer type, that is for storing or receiving the roll number. Then we have the other method which is receiving the name, which is of type string. And the other one is having roll number followed by name. Now there can be another variant of it as well, that is called same thing, but instead of this roll number first, we are sending name first. So depending upon the sequence of arguments, okay, as well as number of arguments and the type of arguments, these form the method signature. So method signature would be defined as number of arguments, sequence of arguments, and type of arguments. So these form the method signature. It is not covered by the return type. So this is the return type. For example, for all of them, return type is void. So let's say that now if you ask me, okay, can I have another variety or a variant where instead of void, I'm having the return type as integer? The answer is no, because Java compiler does not include the return type in the method signature. And this method overloading logic of distinguishing the different methods with the same name works purely on the logic of method signature. So return type is not a part of the method signature. So even if you change the return type and keeping the rest the same, for example, if you have this method, but you just change it to int, then you will get a compilation error that it's a duplicate method, and please have it changed accordingly, because this is not going to consider as a separate method, because you cannot have two methods with different return type but the same method signature. Now if you change the method signature, like the number of arguments or the type of parameter or the sequence, then these two can be considered as different, but they will not be considered as method overloading purely on the basis of return type. We need to also change the method signature. So this is the concept of method overloading, which is applicable to within the class. Within the class, this concept is purely applicable. But method overriding, it needs two classes at least, which are in inheritance relationship. So we will look at that now. Now I had defined another class here, right, called exceptional students. Here, let me make it extend my another class called students. Okay. Now here we had one method called set details. Okay. Or let's say get info for the time being. Let's say get info. So I'm just giving one more definition here at the exception students class level. I'm saying get info, but I'm just adding one more line here, system.out.println, and I'm saying in get info method of exceptional students. And we will also do one more change here. We will have another variable here called exceptional count equal to 0. Let's say this also I want to print now. So I can just do like this, exceptional count. I can just try to print that. I can also print it. So basically I'm changing the definition of printing as well. But that doesn't matter. What you have to focus on is that you are changing the definition. You at least added one line or some part of code inside this method, which was actually inherited. This was inherited from our parent class, right? And you're trying to change the definition of the method. So this is called method overriding, because you're overriding the definition of your inherited parent class method. So you'll get a small upward arrow. So upward green arrow, which will indicate its method overriding. So when you try to do it in your editor, you will notice that, and that will indicate it's a method overriding. It will just come here besides the public access modifier. So this was about the method overriding. So these are the main concepts which you need to know in case of uh, OOPS concepts in Java. So I'll have a detailed session on inheritance in my next video. With that, we will be covering all the conceptual things, and we will look at some of the keywords then of Java. So that will be in my next session. That is going to be like we'll cover super, we'll cover this, we'll cover final, we'll cover abstract, all those important keywords which are there, we will be covering. And we will also be covering switch statement. And in another video, I'll also create a separate one for collections in Java. So these are all important concepts which needs to be known in order to clear the interview. So I'm focusing on those areas. So stay tuned for my next video on inheritance. Thank you so much.